Welcome. My name's Brenda Kyle, and I'm hosting the book club specifically for Body Thrive, which is by Cate Stillman. And over the last 2.5 years, 2.5 years ago is when I started in Body Thrive myself, and then I gained the training with the Ayurveda background, and I also have yoga teacher training where I specialize in yin yoga and restorative yoga and yoga for beginners, because that's kind of where I was before I stepped into that. The With the book club, we will talk about other books, but the core one that will always be an ongoing thing is always the Body Thrive one, because that's the core piece that I teach. When you start off in the book club, the whole goal, the whole idea is just to get familiar with the habits and to allow yourself to practice with them, experiment with them, see what works. It's not something that you have to do all of them, or you don't want to set, too high of an expectation like you have to do all of them. You just want to kind of focus in on certain ones and just allow yourself to kind of see and notice the changes as you implement some of those things. The main thing with let's get where I can read, because I have to have reader glasses for reading out the book. And what I'll do is I'll read a little bit out of the book. If you don't have the book, you can either order it on Amazon or you can check it out at a library. There's a lot of libraries that have it now. And there's two versions. There's a more current version, so if you can get that one, but it really doesn't matter on that. They're fairly similar. And what this is, the reason how I came about the habits, the Body Thrive, was because I had health issues, and I was in a deep research and looking for something that was going to make me feel better. And this is what I found. And as I integrated the habits more and more, the healthier I felt, the better I felt, the clearer I felt. I started to evolve myself just on a natural level. And it's nice because at the same time, addictions and things start to slowly phase out. You don't have to force it. It just kind of happens naturally as you do these things. And that's another big benefit. It's amazing how many health issues it can resolve over a period of time. And that's part of why I love to teach it. I currently still coach in the Body Thrive, the actual Body Thrive group. And then I'm going to be teaching my own 1-year program, because it does take a full year to integrate these habits. So I want you could stay in the book club in my group, in this free group, as long as you want, and you can keep, stepping into these live calls. And then if you feel like you're at a point where you want to truly deeply learn the habits, then you can join the class itself, the 1-year program. And I'll share more about that on the website, because right now that's not important today. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go over, I'm going to screen share a little bit too, but and also I want to mention, anybody watching this on replay, it'll be available on the website and in the Facebook group, so you can find it in either location there and watch it at any time. I'm also going to, if you can kind of help me with letting me know what days and what times work better, because I can kind of open up a better time for us to all gather together for the group meetings here. Okay, and I'm just going to read a little bit about, just directly from the book. And just at the very beginning, how are you designing your body? Your reality and body, mind, and spirit is a reflection of your habits. Your choices heal or undermine you, and your habits direct the lens through which you view your life. These small, seemingly inconsequential habits breed your life experience. Will you merely survive or earnestly thrive? Better habits open and strengthen your body even as you age. They open your mind to attract ideas that align with what you want to do and who you want to become next. Better habits also awaken your spirit and foster better relationships. If your current habits are aggravating your body, but you keep up your current state of affairs, you'll exacerbate those aggravations and things will get worse. When you don't act on what you've learned, you turn your direction toward suffering, which leads to aging. You'll be grumpy, anxious, tired, stiff, or fat instead of fluid, graceful, fun, and sparky. You craft your inner universe, how it's organized, how it runs, the vibe, and the way you age. What is the organization of your organism? How is your reverberation and are you fluid, connected, contented? Are you chaotic, stressed, overscheduled, bloated, or depleted? Are your habits intentional and effortful, or careless and regressive? So that's kind of how the base of it starts. It's just a lot of us, I mean, just like me, I mean, I came in on that negative side. I mean, that's where I was. So the one thing is, whenever we're together in this on the habits, I'm on the journey with you. And I'm just improving and increasing and changing things and adapting as I gain deeper wisdom in my own body and my own mind and spirit. So this is a very integrative, it considers the whole body, not just a one side, one point of view. And it integrates with your regular health, your regular doctor. It integrates with your belief system, your religion, any of those things. It's not something that comes in place of, but rather it integrates with. And that's something that's really important for it to work for everybody. And when you're on this path, you're at a point normally where you feel like you want improvements, and what you found otherwise hasn't helped enough. So that's how you land here, basically. And I'm just going to kind of go over the habits themselves. There's 10 of them. And this is from over 20 plus years of Ayurvedic background from Cate Stillman, how she developed these habits and developed this. And this is like a foundation for everything else. So it's you'll see what I mean as you kind of go along with it, and even just experimenting with it on a light side. The first habit is eat an earlier, lighter dinner. And when you start off, it doesn't have to be both. It can be just like you choose what works best for your schedule. So if you can manage an earlier dinner, but not necessarily lighter, that's okay. If it's the other way around, where you can do the lighter dinner, but it's not necessarily early, just go with what you are able to do. The goal time is to try to finish by 6. If it has to be a little bit later or a little bit earlier, you just do that. But that's the 6 to 7 range is best. At least 3 hours before you go to bed is when you want to eat. And the reason why you want to eat lighter is because you're already getting out of that zone of time that the body processes the food quickly. So it's not the strongest digestive time. It's a time where you're kind of your body's starting to slow down, and then you're going to be with going to bed. When you eat lighter, you feel lighter in the morning. You feel clearer. You feel more energy. So it has a lot of benefit with it. And I'm just going to read the first part from habit 1. Eat your last meal of the day by 6 or 7 p.m. or at least 3 hours before bed for dinner. Choose soups, salads over solid foods, because food with more water content is easier to digest. And I won't go deep into all of them right now, because the next call will be to cover habit 1 and habit 2. But the habit 1, eat an earlier, lighter dinner. And then we're going to go and talk a little bit about habit 2. Habit 2 is go to bed early. This is something that you don't have to do. If you're normally going to bed late, this is where you kind of start to just drop the time back a little bit at a time. You don't have to go heavily, like I'm normally going to bed at 11 and then all of a sudden I'm going to go to bed at 9. You don't have to do that. If you're normally settling on 11, just try to back it up like about 10 or 15 minutes and go to bed a little bit earlier. The goal, the ideal is to go to bed between 9 and 10. So we're aiming for kind of a normal sleep schedule. You don't have to be right at that. Like I said, just if you're normally a late person, just just try a little bit earlier. And you don't have to do it every night. You have your nights where you stay up with your family late. That's good. I have that too. And then there's habit 3. Start your day right. And this just has to do with certain self-care habits that you do in the morning, and whether you have certain practices like breath body work, meditation, yoga, taking a walk, just going outside playing with kids or with pets, just different things that you how you start your day, and what you choose to eat. And it also has to do with your digestive system and elimination. That's something that we'll be talking a lot about in this, because it's such a key part from Ayurveda health. And then habit 4 is actually breath body work. The breath work is something that was really helpful for me because it was it reduces anxiety, it reduces stress, it centers you into the more of that now moment, and it especially if you breathe more from your chest rather than your stomach, you learn to kind of adjust back to the normal, what you would feel comfortable in your body doing, and it really changes your whole physiology. So it's a nice thing to learn if it's not something you normally focus on. It's something we learn to kind of focus our awareness, and I'll explain more about it when we get to that part too. And then habit 5 is called a plant-based diet. And this doesn't mean that you have to be vegan. It just means that you're broadening the amount of greens that you eat, and it can be 1 or 2 or a whole lot. It's just it's going to kind of open the door to more of a plant-based type of diet. Like I said, I mean, I eat meat. Even Cate Stillman herself does as well. So it's just understand it's not something that we're forcing vegan at all. It's just there's so much intelligence and what we call prana, which is your breath, but it's the life force in the body. So it enhances that. It actually feeds that in the body, and that's why it's so important to kind of have a little bit more of the plant-based diet in your system. And then the next one, right in between though, talk a little bit about the habits and how that affects your relationships, and that's something we'll cover too, because it really does. I mean, I have a partner that does not eat Ayurvedic food, and I myself, I don't eat it all the time, so it's been a kind of a slow process to integrate it fully. And it's a choice. It's not something you have to do. You can just make the choice of over time eating healthier. Okay, and habit 6 is self-massage. And this is one of the big Ayurveda things with using oils, to incorporate. Just checking on the chat and everything there. Self-massage, your hands on your body's ultimate healing tool. Your hands are your body's ultimate healing tool. The practice of daily self-massage tones your tissues, improves your sleep, stimulates your lymphs, promotes longevity, strengthens your immune system, improves your joint mobility, and even synthesizes self-esteem and the inside from the inside out, which amplifies your confidence. So you can see there's tremendous benefits from that. And what we use are oils, and they'll be specific to your doshic body type. And I'll discuss that more in the group, because when you're new to Ayurveda, you have no idea what that is. I had no idea what it was, but you'll I'll help you understand the benefits and the type that would be best for you. And if you don't like to do that, there's also dry brushing. So if you're not comfortable with self-massage with oils, there's just a light brush that you can actually brush the body, and it still stimulates all the body in the same way. Habit 7 is sitting in silence, which is meditation. And it's something that, again, when you're new to it, you're usually coming across the resistance of doing it. And you could just start off with 1 minute, like setting a timer on your phone and sitting down in 1 minute and then get up. It's something that you can either kind of work on with silence, or you can use guided meditations that are on like the Insight Timer app or on YouTube, or just there's all kinds of options there. But the whole thing is just it connects you a lot deeper, on a spiritual and mental, emotional body. It makes a big difference on how much more insightful and clarity you have from doing meditation. And it's very calming over a period of time. It's a collective. So the more as you meditate, you're benefiting from it more and more each time. And you may start off with just, a few times a week, and then eventually you'll be at every day. And the amount of time is just going to be based on what you can fit in your schedule and what feels right at the time. So a lot of this, you're just kind of feeling into what your body needs. That's going to be the new way that you're learning. Habit 8 is healthier eating guidelines. And that's just learning to eat 2 or 3 meals a day without snacking in between, so that it allows your body to burn the fat rather than storing it. And this is where you begin to develop a stronger, better digestive system. Okay, and then we're at habit 9, which is called Come to Your Senses. So we'll be exploring sense care, our sense organs, and that's going to be that one's kind of fun. And the more you get used to doing these things and learning to understand your tongue, because in Ayurveda, the more you understand about the tongue, it actually tells you what's going on in your body. So it's really kind of a cool factor. Habit 10 is live in ease. And this is something that your goal overall is, even as you're doing the other habits, is you're learning that experience of easeful living, where you feel like you're not in a stress mode. You're not, in a chaos level of things. You're stabilizing your perspective and your experience, and it's just it's kind of the joyful place that we're working towards. And I'll go more into that as well when that'll be something kind of an ongoing thing that I'll touch on. And there's going to be a certain amount of Ayurveda language that I'll cover too. And then I'm going to go ahead and screen share a little bit. Okay. I'm just going to cover a few things in here. And basically it's what we're looking at is how we're designing our body, how we want to feel, how do we want to be each day in our lives versus what we may be at right now. And we're just allowing ourselves, there is self-reflection in this, because you're looking at some of your patterns and starting to recognize them, and then as you can, you start to change them. And you can see that the wisdom itself does come from yoga. It's something that they've always incorporated, and with yoga is actually the sister of Ayurveda, which is the oldest wisdom, health wisdom. It's the wisdom of longevity. So that's why Ayurveda is such a key part in this, and along with yoga, even if you don't practice it, you'll start to kind of explore it a little bit. I mean, that's how I was. I didn't do yoga in the beginning either. And then here's some of what, some of the others. Just after 10 weeks, people already see benefits from, like getting a good night's sleep, having control over how you actually feel without feeling groggy or grouchy in the morning. And then there's, I have more energy, I sleep better, I eat a healthier diet, I've developed better self-care habits, I've learned the daily habits for longevity and healthy aging. I've started a home yoga practice. I've taken my yoga practice deeper. I've started meditating. I have a stronger, more consistent meditation practice. And it's going to be unique to each person. So just let it be what it is. I mean, if you, whatever feels the most important to you, what you value the most, that's probably the one that's going to stand out in the beginning more so, and it's going to make the biggest impact on your life. Let's see if there's anything else on this one that I wanted to share. See, in Ayurveda, the habits of Ayurveda based on biorhythms are non-negotiable for Thrive. As we align with our biorhythms, we detox our habits. In doing so, our bodies, minds, emotions, and even our kitchens, homes, relationships, and lives up-level into Thrive. We experience the best time of our lives from living in cooperation with our bodies and our ecosystem. And that's something that's the whole idea of the Body Thrive habits. So here's the keys to using the book. So we work on a habit a week, even though in the club itself, we're just covering 2 habits on a bi-weekly basis, but you're still working on 1 habit a week. That way you don't have to scatter yourself among all the different things. And just take small actions. Keep in mind that this is like the micro habits. You're just, like I said, if you're going to bed normally at 11 o'clock, you're just backing it off like 10 minutes earlier, and then just doing that for a week. You don't have to make a big adjustment because you want to be able to succeed with it. You want your body to recognize the new habit, the new pattern slowly, so it integrates it. Small steps. You can have a friend do this with you, or a family member. Follow your desire and how you shift your habits. Work on what is working. So that's a good thing too. So if you get stuck with a particular habit, you don't have to do that. Just let it go. I mean, it's there's no set right or wrong in this at all. And like I said, normally we do the Body Thrive 4 times a year because it takes that amount of time to integrate it. In the club here, we'll still be more on that first level. You can take it as deep as you want to on your own. It really does take guidance from a teacher to deepen this, and that's why I will offer the class on a full year basis as well. And if you can get started right away. So that's it on how the book works. And then I'm going to go a little bit over, because this is considered a dynamic group. That's how I learned. That's how I teach, because there's a lot more success, the higher rate of success with engagement, with community, with growing and learning from each other. So that's why it's a key factor. And I'm not going to go in every detail of every word of it right now, but it's a be all in. Dynamic groups gain traction when every member is fully engaged. And just understand, in the beginning, sometimes you kind of stay back and you just kind of lurk or watch. That's okay. When you start to feel more comfortable, you can step forward and talk, ask questions, and share. There's champion diversity and inclusion. Prioritize your growth. Engage the uncomfortable edge of opportunity. Nurture identity evolution. Listen deeply. Communicate with candor and care. Reach in when you tweak out. Give to receive. Be ready for action. overcome resistance by kindling your desire. And that's something that we'll reference in, I may pick one each time on our calls and just go over that and how it applies to our current habits and current discussions and things like that. So. Okay, there we go. And the calls don't always have to be a full hour. Sometimes they're just, I want to give a full hour in case there's questions and things. That way there's time to answer. The main content is probably going to always be in the first 30 minutes. And you don't have to stay the full hour. I mean, if you need to, whenever you need to go, you can always just, like I said, go back and listen to the replay that'll be available, and still post questions in the Facebook group if you haven't joined that yet. The link is there in the meetup group. If you're coming from the Amazon Book Club, it's the same thing. You can find the information on the perceptivehealings.com website. And I'll start gathering a email list so that I can give you notifications of the calls coming up if you don't mind. Other types of notifications. We'll talk about that, what's comfortable for everybody. And the next, I'll put the date out for the next call, and some of you already have that in the meetup group, but we'll cover habit 1 and habit 2. And like I said, you just spend 1 week on the first habit, and then the second week you can spend it on the second habit. If you come across one you don't really want to work on yet, just continue with one of the other ones that you're doing. So it's keep it open. Don't be hard on yourself. Just get familiar with it and keep working on the book. And I'll get back with everybody here real soon. Thank you for joining me, and I appreciate you taking part.